Yes, it's live.
Okay.
And we're live now. So we are back with another professional water cooler chat. And as the folks who might be have followed a few, they know that these are about me. I'm reaching out to people who are doing interesting things in the world, talking about the problems that they solve, the value that they add in their career, life, business, all the above. We're on Team Multi-Hyphenate here. And today I have with me Taylor. So Taylor, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, so good to see you. Absolutely a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So we've actually, I saw that I connected with you back in 2019. I can't remember what stood out from you, but long story short, you are in the business of solving problems and specifically around infection control. So again, going back to 2019 is when we first connected. Telling me what you were doing then and what you're doing now. Is it the same thing slash COVID? Tell me about, tell me, introduce yourself first. Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor Cottano with Southern EVALS. I'm a board certified infection preventionist, and I am a nurse by trade, a RN. So my career started in the hospital, working ICU, working the floor, working ER. Found that I could only affect a certain number of patients doing what I was doing, and I was introduced into regulatory compliance. So what I did, and for those of you who don't know what regulatory compliance is that's any regulation that a hospital, clinic, nursing home, long-term care, any kind of healthcare organization, they've got to follow these rules from CMS, from Joint Commission, from AAAHC, all these different organizations and the states. And so I got an interest in helping facilities do that. Early in my career, I worked with a policy firm where I was the first clinician they brought in to do licensing and accrediting. Since then, our firm started in 2015. We started with one client, helping them get through a state survey. Since then, we've grown into 12 to 15 states, and we've got a multitude of different consultants, all with their own specialties. And right now, the thing that's changed in our consulting firm has been, as is everybody's, is COVID. And we made the pivot to working with organizations inside of healthcare and outside of healthcare. Number one, decipher what the CDC was coming down with, how to make those guidelines realistic in practice, and how to educate and change different procedures and practices to make sure that they were successful in protecting either their patients or their clients and their employees as well.
Awesome, awesome. Tell me about how you feel. So a lot of nurses that I talk to, we solve problems on all sorts of problems, every minute of every day. A lot of those problems are super expensive problems. We don't know how expensive they are. We don't know what corporations are paying people to solve these expensive problems that we deal with as part of our quote 9 to 5 or our 312. What made you decide or make you realize that the problems that you solve, what you're doing for your employer, that you could actually solve some of these problems in an even grander way on your own and for yourself as a business owner?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, early in my career, I was working as a floor nurse, and one of my directors came up and they said, "Look, we have Joint Commission coming in the house. I need you to help me work on a few things." At that point, I was like, fresh coming out of nursing school, I said, "Who is Joint Commission?" Number one, and number two, when I got into it, I found out that this was, a hospital that had a great reputation, great scores, and they still had issues going on in their facility. They weren't perfect. And as I dug into it and reached out to my network, understanding the things that I did in practice, it all related to compliance. And I knew that, all kind of different hospitals or all kind of different businesses, no matter how big or small, they all have challenges. It just depends on what the challenge is.
Awesome, awesome. And for those who are joining, thank you so much for joining. I can't see, I just see numbers. So if you have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments or reach out to Taylor directly. I like to screen folks for approachability. And my nurse spidey sense has never failed me wrong. All the people I've had these calls with, they've been very approachable. So feel free to reach out to Tyler directly. Talk to me about your growth, because I feel as though, awesome branding. Talk to me about growth, because I know, I feel like business is a wonderful vehicle to help people, and a business that is building and expanding, that is being able to bring on employees or contractors. That's a beautiful thing. Did you wake up knowing about business growth and expanding and strategic partnerships Did you come from a family of business owners? How did you learn how to build a business that could actually expand?
No. So I think I always talk about this whenever we're working with facilities. My background, my mother was, I call her an operator. And from a child, she always made sure that I did the right thing. And it was always, you always over deliver. So she was a nurse. And I feel like that's where I got my heart for taking care of people. My dad on the other end was a businessman. He was all about the numbers. He said, you got to look at everything. You got to know where all of your pennies are, and you got to make sure that you partner with the right people, and that you make sure that everything is understood from the beginning. So when I started this, like I said, it wasn't a team. It was me going out there. It was me putting myself out there. It was saying, hey, look, I know how to solve the solution. I was, did not have an ego to say that I knew everything. I would be honest with my clients, and I would make sure that they knew if I did not know that, I would find the solution, and I worked until I found the solution. But in terms of growth, there comes a time in everybody's career to where you are only one person. You only have so much time in the day to do certain things. And like I talk about with Elle, those Oprah things, those things that Oprah does and that she doesn't do. You've got to start figuring out how, as a business owner, look, you got to use your time and maximize your time to enhance your business, enhance your delivery. But you got to make sure all the other things are taken care of. You got to make sure your marketing's there. You got to make sure you're paying your bills. You got to make sure you're doing your taxes right. I mean, all the things, the invoicing, the collecting. I mean, in the beginning, it's all on you. And I am a huge believer in the power of people. And I think that's one of the hardest things for a nurse consultant or anybody starting a business to do, is to trust someone, to take the risk, to reach out, to put the finances or the chunk of change aside to pay that person, and to spend the time training. One of the things I learned is that you can bring somebody on, but if you do not train them to how you want them to be, you can't expect them to perform how you want them to perform. And, as we've grown into 15 to 20 consultants, the one thing that we continue to do is when we bring somebody in, we make sure that they know they are not an employee, they're a team member. They're working with our team. We are all in this hand to hand. We make sure they have the knowledge base to know exactly where they need to go or where they can find out answers to questions. And I mean, you get the folks that, that do not do the same things good that you do. You get people that are better than you in outside. I'll brag on my administrative assistant. She started helping me with those clerical things, but she evolved into an amazing consultant who is just performing better than I could right now. I'm not jealous of that. I am proud of that, and I want to reward that. Same thing goes with marketing. Same thing goes with, other ends of our business. Is I want to celebrate victories, and I want to treat my people the best that I possibly can, because I know in a happy workplace, they'll continue to want to grow with the company.
So many great points there. One I will pick up that comes right out is, first of all, just to recap, and again, thank you guys for joining me. We're talking about the business of nursing, specifically infection control. Taylor has an infection control empire that is expanding. Is it an international, nationwide? Tell me more.
Yeah, we're nationwide. So we're expanding. Just this past year, we grew into 12 other states. And it's just, kind of like we were talking about, those strategic partnerships with some of these health systems, making sure to get out of obscurity. People, you want people to know you. It's not how many people it's how many people know you, we always say. And it's making a conscious effort in putting in the work, putting yourself out there to be noticed for what you do. And I feel like that's kind of how we've grown to where we are.
I love what you said. Get out of obscurity. I feel as though I've said this before. Obscurity is a disease. It's a disease. I've seen nobody benefit from it, from being obscure and unknown and not being seen at the bedside to boardroom situations. It's just never good. And sometimes, as nurses, we're not necessarily used to drawing attention to our value. We're used to being a budget line, an expense. But when it comes to talking about our value in the workplace and beyond, we're not used to flexing that muscle. So what would you say would be important, or some things to consider for a nurse to start to figure out how to slay obscurity? you may have never struggled with that. But like, what encouragement would you give to people who's, they need to be known by outside of their current network? The people, I mean, there's opportunities waiting for folks. There's a quote, and I'll let you go into it, that I love from Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder, a guy who knows a thing or two about connections, is that opportunities do not float like clouds in the sky. They're firmly attached to individuals. So if you're looking for opportunity, you're really looking for people. So what would you say to the nurse who needs to connect with new people and be known outside of their current area?
I think that the first thing is the hardest part is the talk in the mirror. I think, one thing that we do as nurses is we have our experience, and individually it's so different. Your experience, what you've been through, and what that is extremely valuable. I mean, you may not think that it's valuable, but somebody out there does not know that. And somebody out there is asking that question. I always give the example of who's the guy that invented the shake weight? I mean, the shake weight was an invention. We all know that it was something that was kind of gimmicky, but they did over, I can't even remember, I think it was like $20 million in sales on a shake weight. Somebody was looking for that. And whatever you have as a nurse, your experience, somebody out there is looking for it. Now, once you get past that and understand that you have something valuable to offer, is you've just got to just put yourself out there. The thing about our company is each company has a face. You have to be the face of your company, and you have to have something that somebody would want to be interested in. And the thing is everything you do in practice, even if it's talking about a tough situation, that's branding yourself. That is helping somebody out there. I mean, like I said, is you've got something valuable, to spend. I think the next thing would be is getting in the right room with the right people. Is if you are looking for growth, you need to put yourself in the room where other people have done phenomenally better than you. I always, in this practice is no matter how big we get, I'm always looking at the next level, because if I'm the guy in the room who's got what everybody's looking for, I don't need to be there. I can absolutely give back, but I need to be in another room to where I'm saying, what do I need to look for to strategically grow? What do I need to look for to change my branding possibly that's working in the industry? What room do I need to get in that could possibly change the whole trajectory of what we're doing? And I think it's actively looking for those things. One thing that we do every Monday and every Friday is we brainstorm. We talk about our clients, we talk about what's going on, but at the end, everybody's got to come at me with an idea. And it doesn't matter if there's no bad ideas, it's ideas. And I think you need to be creative enough to say, it may sound crazy, is, all right, do I go to a coffee shop and put some flyers out? Or do I go to my local hospital and try to get a meeting with somebody? Or do I spend the time every morning looking on Becker's Healthcare at someone who just got a CEO job and saying, congratulations? I mean, it's those little things that add up exponentially. And I know early in my career, it felt like I was turning my wheels every morning, connecting with people, but it just adds up like compounding interest. And the more posts you do, the more conferences you go to, the more people you connect with, you'd be amazed at what you get back in return.
Love it. Love it. You touched on something, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but a concept that I talk a lot about. And I love that you talked about it, because people are probably tired of hearing you talk about it. The Dream 100 concept is, long story short, you don't need 1,000 new customers. What would a yes from an Oprah-like person in your industry do for your business? And, who are the people who already own the relationships with the people that you need to be in front of? Where are those right rooms? And, that's a complete process that can simplify your business development efforts, make it something like everyone on the team can support you with. And I love what you said with hiring up, because when you hire up, those ideas will come back down to you. I'm all for people. When it comes to getting visible, I say it's not a solo effort. It's a team sport. You need support and help. And when you have people who are great and awesome at what they do, they will be coming back to you with ideas. They'll figure out ways to make your job easier. And that's also a whole nother conversation about the type of support, because some people say, oh, I just need to get a virtual assistant. And that's a whole nother conversation, because there's all sorts of virtual assistants. But in any case, you talked about Oprah too.
Yes.
I liked what you said, because I feel like all of us, we know of a certain age, we grew up, looking at Oprah in our formative years, and we took notes, and oh my goodness, and we give her a lot of credit. And sometimes we don't pay attention to the fact that we knew her hairdresser by name. We know her chef by name. We know her personal assistant and her life coach and her lawyer, all these people around her that supported her and helped her. If you don't mind just closing, because again, we're talking about the business of nursing, infection control. Business has been booming for you, especially this year. Tell me, if you'll probably repeat yourself. Tell me about the importance of team, having great support structures around you, and we'll probably close out from there.
Yeah. So I think, you look at productivity, and in terms of numbers is, you've only got a certain amount of time. You also have to fit in your schedule, taking care of yourself. You got to take care of eating. You got to take care of your family if you've got one, your kids if you got one. You also probably got a mortgage. You got a car note. There's a lot of things that you got to take care of in your personal life immediately, on top of maximizing the amount of time that you have. The one thing that I would absolutely say is, number one, I'm going to say invest in yourself, but number two is invest in other people, because whenever you get to a point to where you bring somebody in and you give them the right training, you give them the right guidance, you put them in the right direction, and you put them in the spotlight for doing what they're doing, that person will double your time instantly. And once you start doing that, there's two different things that you can do. Number one, you can work in your business. That's your day-to-day. That's what you're doing on the grind. That's working with clients. That's whatever it may be that you're a specialist in. The other thing is working on your business. And a lot of the times, whenever you are the only person that working on your business goes out of the limelight, whenever you have so much to do in your business, you hiring people on your team, they're not only helping you maximize what you can do in your business, they're allotting you the time to work on your business, or helping you work on those areas that you may not be as strong. And, going back, I'm always about, whenever I talk about these discussions, they may sound like pipe dreams, but I want to give an example of the power of one client. Whenever COVID started, everybody was put on hold. And, luckily we're in healthcare. Our clients, they wanted to worry about compliance, and we helped them through that transition. But one connection was, they reached out. They needed help with infection control. They didn't have per se an infection preventionist. And what we were able to do is go in, number one, help them become compliant with their documents and all their tracking of their data. Number two is also put them on a trajectory for success to prevent infection. That one contract may have seemed small. It's one contract. It was a $30,000 deal, which may be big to some, small to some. That contract led to 20 other $30,000 contracts. That one connection. And it's the power of, always say, you take that one client, you promise, you over deliver, and you never know where that'll take you. It may lead you into, hey, can you look at this for me? An increase in expansion or of your service that you're doing in there that you can bill for. Or it may be, look, I've got a network that needs exactly what you do, and I'm going to introduce you to all of them. And I mean, that's put us past the $1 million mark just in COVID, dealing with that one client where it's brought. So I mean, it's unbelievable.
I didn't prep you to say any of this. We in fact, we didn't even talk beforehand. These conversations are for lots of reasons. I want to normalize talking to strangers too, to show like what it looks like. So I couldn't have asked for anything better. You heard it from Taylor. I talk about the power of strategic partnerships and Dream 100. And no, you don't need to have an email list of 10,000 subscribers that some people insist on you doing. But long story short, I feel like we could talk on and on, but I definitely want to keep these under 20 minutes. We're at 19. And how can people keep in touch with you? What's the best way to connect with you? I know you're super busy, but how can people continue the conversation if they like?
Yeah, absolutely. Check us out, Southern EVALS. It's on the head, www.sevals.net. We're on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn. We post a lot of different content about what we're doing, about some interesting things coming out. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. So, I mean, And if they have any questions, just hit our website or hit one of those platforms, and we'd be more than willing to get you going. Or if you're looking, if you're looking to get into what we get into, we always are looking for good consultants, and we'd love to meet you.
Awesome. Lovely. Taylor, thank you so much. I look forward to continuing our conversation and getting to know you better offline.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much.
Awesome.